Hello everyone, I am Manohar Kumar, Assistant Professor of English from Government College Deogat. As you know, for few days we have been studying the poem Elegy written in a country churchyard composed by Thomas Gray. In this poem, we have already studied the 25th stanzas of this poem, and today we are going to study the next 26th stanza of this poem. Before beginning the stanza, we have to discuss the preceding stanzas of this poem. In the previous stanzas, we discussed that the poet turns to himself and thinks of his own death. Addressing himself, he says that he has not ignored the humble and unknown men who lie buried in this churchyard. He has taken notice of these men and has, in the present poem, narrated their simple story. So, he says, uh, uh, he has written an elegy to commemorate them. It is quite possible that one day somebody with a temperament similar to that of the poet would, in a mood of lonely reflection, make inquiries about the poet's fate. And in the next stanza, the reply of the previous stanza, in the reply to the inquiry of some kindred spirit or some aged villager with grey hair on his head would perhaps make the following reply: we have often seen the man you are inquiring about. The who says some aged villager with grey hair, we have often seen the man you are inquiring about. The man, who is man? The man is Thomas Gray. Every day at dawn, at early in the morning, we used to see him walking quickly over the dew covered ground to climb up the hill in order to watch the sun rising. So, these were the two previous stanzas in which the poet uh, talks about the death of himself, after the death of himself, and again in the 26th stanza, there at the foot of yonder nodding beech, that reaches its old fantastic roots so high, his listless length at noontide would he stretch, and pour upon the brook that babbles by. There at the root of yonder nodding beech, nodding means with its branches hanging downward. Branches hanging downwards. Beech means a kind of tree, beech tree that reaches means twists, मुड़ी हुई, its old fantastic roots so high, old fantastic odd. His listless means lazy, length means limbs. At noontime would he stretch. And pour upon means gaze thoughtfully the brook means stream that babbles by flows close by with a murmuring sound. So here the poet says that, continuing his reply, the hoary-headed swan will say, the hoary-headed means the grey-haired villager will say that at noontime Thomas Gray was in the habit of stretching his tired, weary body at the foot of that beech tree with his branches hanging downwards. Continuing his reply, the grey-haired villager will say that at noontime Thomas Gray was in the habit of stretching his tired, weary body, weary means tired, at the foot of that beech tree, under the uh, beech tree, with its branches hanging, the branches of beech tree hanging downwards, and its roots standing up above the ground, twisted, and its root twisted into strange shapes. Lying under the tree, he used to gaze thoughtfully. Lying under the tree, who? Thomas Gray. Lying under the tree, Thomas Gray used to gaze thoughtfully at the stream that flows close by with a murmuring sound. This is the reply of grey-haired villager. And now, in the next stanza, hard by yon wood, now smiling as in scorn, muttering his wayward fancies he would draw. Muttering means speaking his wayward fancies. Wayward fancies means fantastic notions. He would rove means roam about, wander. He would wander. Now drooping woeful bane. Woeful means sorrowful, bane pale, like one forlorn. Like one forlorn means like deserted man, like abandoned man, like a lonely man. So there is a simile. Or crazed with care, or crossed in hopeless love. Crossed means frustrated, hopeless love. So again here the grey-haired villager, informing the inquirer, will say, Thomas Gray was in the habit of roaming about near the wood there. Thomas Gray was in the habit of roaming, in the habit of wandering near the wood there. While walking about, he used to speak out his whimsical ideas and fantastic notions to himself. Means murmuring himself. As he walked thus, he sometimes smiled scornfully, and sometimes he looked sorrowful and pale, with his head hanging downwards, like a man who is lonely and friendless, or like a man who is tormented by some anxiety, or like one who is completely frustrated in love. So here the grey-haired villager informing the inquirer will say that the particular situation of Thomas Gray under the beech tree. So the poet says through the grey-haired villager that that Thomas Gray was in the habit of roaming means wandering about near the wood tree, walking about the wood tree. While walking about, he used to speak out his fantastic notions to himself. As he walked, he sometimes smiled scornfully, hatefully, and sometimes he looked sorrowful, painful, and pale, with his head hanging downwards, like a man who is lonely and friendless, or like a man who is tormented by some anxiety, or like one who is completely frustrated in love. So here the poet describes the melancholic mood of the poet himself, the melancholic nature of the poet himself, and so it should be remembered that Gray was a melancholy, morbid man, and his own mood is correctly described in this stanza. So, it was the nature of Thomas Gray, and this poem is also belong to the school of graveyard. So, it was your stanza, and the next stanzas of this poem we will discuss in our next lesson. Thank you for today.